Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome back for another card video. Today I'm using this hardwood background stamp by Stampin' Up! And I found this Tailored Expressions owl die. It's like a little bitty owl. I'm going to open this up to show you the parts. I thought it would be fun kind of to see something different than the owl punch. So the parts are the body, the whites of the eyes, the belly, the wings, two different sets of eyes, and then one die is the nose and the feet. I'm going to make 5 of these owls, so I'm going to cut out all my pieces. I'm going to cut the body and the wings out of chocolate chip, so here are all 5. And then I'm going to take the whites of the eyes and do that with Neenah Solar White. And then I'm going to cut the eyes out of black, and I'm going to alternate between open and closed. I'm just going to pop those out with my paper piercer. And here is the die for that. And then I'm going to cut the beak and the feet out of pumpkin pie. This is all Stampin' Up! Paper. And then I'm going to cut a belly out. I've got pumpkin pie, daffodil delight, melon mambo, wild wasabi, and tempting turquoise. I have a different color for each owl. So here are all the pieces. I'm going to show you how to put one of these together. So I'm going to start with the whites of the eyes. I'm going to put them on my tweezers, and I'll put some 2-way glue, which I use for all of the pieces. And just put a little bit, you really don't need that much on the back of these pieces. And then I'm going to center it on the top portion, so the head of my owl. And then I'm going to take the belly and do the same thing and center it on the bottom half of the owl. And then I'm going to do the eyes, but I'm going to actually put the glue down first, just a little dot with the corner of my chisel. And then I'm going to pick up the eyes with my pick-me-up stick and just kind of get them down on the paper first. They don't have to be positioned exactly right when you first get them down there, because you do have some wiggle room since the glue just takes a minute to dry. So once I get it down there, I can use my paper, or not, it's not my paper piercer, but it's like this acrylic thing that comes with a pick-me-up stick, to kind of move the eyes around so that they're both the same. So once I'm finished with that, I press it down with my finger, and that sort of secures it into place. For the nose, I'm going to again use the corner of my chisel tip and put a bunch of glue right between the eyes there. And then I'll pick up the nose with my pick-me-up stick, and same thing, kind of remove it with this acrylic piece that comes with the stick. And I like the nose to not really touch the belly, so I'm kind of pushing it up a little bit. And I was surprised how well this stuck, considering it was spanning the white over, there's kind of a bump there, but it worked out great for all of these owls. And then for the wings, I'm just going to add a little bit of 2-way glue on the side, pick up the wing with my pick-me-up stick, and just press it down. It's really amazing how very little glue you need and how easily all of these pieces are sticking together. So I did the same thing on the other side. These owls were actually pretty quick to put together, especially once you kind of get into a system, and you can just roll through all of them. And then I'm going to turn this over to do the feet, just because I felt like I was able to position them better this way. Just put a little dot for the feet, and then use the pick-me-up stick. And I actually couldn't find the poker, the other half, the acrylic piece, so I just did it with my finger. I just held it down and then pulled off the sticky part from the pick-me-up stick. And then as soon as you press it down with your finger, it's not going anywhere. And so that is how you put these together. I did all the owls the same way, with the exception of this last one, because I want his wing to be up because he's holding a balloon. So I just put a little dab of glue right there on the owl body, and then I made his wing facing up. So it's kind of cool that you can reposition the wings on these. I'm using the Labeler alphabet to stamp HAPPY, one on each one of these owls. And I'm just using some Hero Arts black ink. Now I'm going to work on the fence, and this one's a little tricky because my stamp is not 6x6, and so I'm doing it in the opposite direction that it was meant to go. And there are half planks on the right and the left side. So I've masked those partial planks with surgical tape. Now I'm going to ink this up with some early espresso ink, and I'm just going to leave my tape in place since I'm just using my Stamp-A-Majig, and so I'm just going to stamp that onto my plastic sheet, and it's okay that my masking tape has stamped. So now that I'm doing the real thing, I'm going to I'll re-ink and remove the tape, and I have some crumb cake cardstock. And so for the first stamp, I just really need to make sure that my planks are horizontal. You could secure your cardstock to the craft mat if you want to, but I just kind of left mine there and was just careful not to move anything around. So I'll stamp that down, and that'll give me my first stamp, and you can see I got a full plank at the end. And now I'm going to put my masking tape back on. I actually only needed to put it on one side, but I did both. I'll re-ink my stamp, and then I'm going to position it so I get my first full plank right next to the one that I already stamped. And you can see it's the masking portion is right on top of what I already stamped. And so then I already re-inked this, but I almost forgot to take off the tape. Thank goodness I remembered. So I just pulled off the tape. And so now you see that I didn't really need to do it on this side here because it's not going to get on my paper. Anyway, so now I'm going to put it in the corner and go straight down and straight up. And now I'll get a continuation of the full planks. I also wanted kind of a finishing cap on my fence. So now I need an entire board. So I'm going to ink up the whole thing, and I'm going to preserve cardstock by just flipping this over and using the part that I don't need on the other side. So I'll just place it straight across, and I always take a piece of scratch paper and put it on top and just rub the whole thing with my fingers to make sure I get good coverage. And now you see I have those full size planks on the other side. I cut 1 7/8 inches off the top, and now I'll flip this over and cut a 1/8 of an inch across. And now I'm going to take a sponge dauber, and I'm going to very lightly add some ink just to make this a little bit different on top of the fence. You can see when I put this on top that it gives it just a nice finished edge. Right after this, something happened and the camera turned off. So I'm going to walk you through what happened. Not that much happened. I have some soft sky as a base, and I just used my ATG tape runner and 2-way glue to adhere my fence. And then I added the first 4 owls using 2-way glue. And then I took my 5th owl and I kind of put him on top of the card, but I didn't glue him. And then I took a pencil and I drew a line, an outline around his wing so that I would know where the wing was. Then I cut my balloon from this Celebration Time die set by Simon Says Stamp. It's just the smallest balloon in the set here. And so once I die cut that, I also kind of laid it on my card, and I drew a line around the bottom of the balloon so I knew where the balloon was. So then I took both of those pieces off, and then I just took a pencil and connected them so that I could kind of draw underneath. And then I took my Copic multi-liner, it's a 0.3, and I went over my pencil line. And then I was able to put my owl and my balloon on the card with some 2-way glue. And then I just added that line at the bottom of the balloon. And that's basically everything that I did. I've got one more thing left to do. It's the birthday. And I got it from the Handwritten Notes stamp set by Avery L. I just took the Happy Birthday to You, and I put some tape on both sides of the birthday, and I put it on an extra small block so that I could hold the right and left sides down against the sides of the block and ink it up with some Hero Arts ink. And I just stamped it down onto some Neenah Solar White cardstock. And then I trimmed it out, and I'm going to create a banner out of it. So I'm just going to draw pencil lines to mark the center of each side. And then I'll take my scissor, and you guys have seen me do this a bunch of times. I just cut up the middle about 1/4 of an inch. And then I go from one corner to the cut, and then from the other corner to the cut. And then I just did the same exact thing on the other side. And I did another version of this card with white as a background, and I'll show you that in a second. But I put some 2-way glue and put that on the bottom, on top of the fence. And so that is the card. I think I really like these owls. They're really adorable. I like the 2 different options for the eyes. Now the other card I created had a white background, and I didn't like it that much. It just seemed really kind of stark and bright and too much contrast. So I think that Soft Sky really softened it up a little bit, as the name suggests, and I liked it so much better than the white. And I think the whites of the owl's eyes also played into there being too much white. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.